Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. It is the first live stream of 2025. Today is Monday, January 6th, 2025. We are a quarter of the way into this century. The date sounds absolutely made up. It sounds like a future that is so far distant from a time that I thought I'd ever see. It's just kind of a weird thing. I guess I'll never really get over. I've had 24 years, 25 years to get over how weird it is to be in the 2000s, but still kind of weird to me. But we are here, and I'm glad to be back for everybody. Hopefully you guys had a safe holiday and a happy new year. Before we get into it for today, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio only version on the podcast. Hopefully you guys are having a good run. I know there's a lot of parts of the United States right now that are getting absolutely battered with wintry mix of weather. Hopefully you guys are listening to this because you have conditions that you could safely run outside, or maybe you're listening to this on a treadmill as you're getting some miles in. Either way, hopefully you're safe out there. And for everyone watching this later but not live, welcome to the #1 running themed live stream for people who are snowed in at the moment and can't get outside. This is a fantastic thing to be listening to, watching, have on in the background. Maybe you just came back in from a run and you are trying to do some sort of recovery routine. I don't do any recovery routine, but I'm glad that you guys are. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat. Let's see. Calvin Somnia says, if we're in 2025, that means cars from 2000 now are considered vintage, right? I've thought about this before because my in-laws are in a car club, and my dad has a 74 Chevy. I think it's a 74. It might be a 77. And I know that even though a 25-year-old car sounds really old, and that was kind of the definition for a lot of us growing up of what like a classic or vintage car was, there is still a lot of if it's after 1970 something, it's still not considered. It might be an old car, but it's not considered a classic car or a vintage car. So still some gatekeeping happening no matter how old we all get. Alf Dickens says, Happy New Year. So what did happen with that dog in the end? If you guys watched the Runner Update Week 10 video that posted earlier today, I had another situation where a dog followed me home when I was running by my in-laws' house. And it was fine. I drove it back. I put it in the car, and it was relatively excited to go for a car ride. I put it in the car. It was soaking wet, and it didn't want to jump in the trunk of the minivan in the back. So I had to pick it up, and it was a pretty heavy dog. But it didn't mind me picking it up. I put it in there, and I drove it back. I tried to drive it 2 miles back to the farm. I got to the farm, and there was no one there. And so I was like, that's weird. Usually when you drive up to a farm, people can kind of see you coming down their lane, from a long way away. And it's not the kind of thing where someone drops in your driveway every day, especially not a car you don't recognize. And so I thought someone would come out and greet me. That's what happened the last time I had to drive a dog back to a farm. But that didn't happen. So I let the dog out, and it kind of was excited to get out. And then it was confused because I got back in my car. And then I started driving away, but the dog was following me. And I was like, this is weird. Because I kind of waited around to see if someone would, so I could explain, look, I'm not stealing your dog. I'm returning your dog. It followed me. I tried to get it to not follow me, but it did. Your dog is not great at stay or go home. And that dog wasn't that good at, I don't think it was a hunting dog. It was not good at, most hunting dogs know that when a truck comes by or a car comes by, it should sit on the side of the road, if not duck. That's been my experience, at least of the dogs around here. This dog was just it almost got hit. Didn't almost get hit by a car, but a car did have to stop and wait for the dog to get out of the way. But anyway, the dog started following me even though I dropped it off back at the farm where I found it. And for a second I wondered, did this dog wander to this farm and it doesn't even belong on this farm? And it was just following people around. Maybe it was lost from somewhere else, and this was just a pit stop, and I happened to have found it near a farm, but not its farm. But as I started driving away, I could see it in the rearview mirror. It was starting to jog to keep up with the car. It was a dirt road, so I couldn't drive fast. Also, I didn't want to run over a dog. And then I could see in the rearview mirror that it suddenly stopped because it heard its name or something, and it started running back towards the farm. So I'm assuming that the dog made it back fine. The dog's name is Lucy. Had tags and stuff. So it was not a found. I mean, it's a retriever. There's not a dog that roams wild, you know. So yeah. All right. Daniel Burton says today is going to be on the indoor bike. That's a good idea. Pegasus says breakfast is my recovery routine. That is a nice recovery routine. Eating. You got to get the calories and stuff back in after your run. Yeah. I guess that's normally mine. Mine is drinking a bunch of coffee and eating food, I guess. But I don't do like, I mean, maybe I should, but I don't do like stretching or muscle conditioning or whatever it is people that do, you know. Matt Byer says he ran 6.4 miles in the snow in the Velocity 3 Gore-Tex today. Oh, interesting. That shoe does look nice. And AJ says that there's no snow in Fort Lauderdale, with a emoji with sunglasses on and then a beach emoji. Looking forward to a cool week, though. Getting back to it. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Danny Gugliuzza says, I'm taking 3 or so weeks off from running to heal a pesky IT band syndrome. Working on strength and got back into swimming. It's been 6 days and I miss running. I think that 6 days of swimming will do that to people. It'll make you miss running for sure. Yeah. Vanessa says, does desperately sprint to the bathroom after a long run count as a recovery routine, or is that speed work? I think that's part of recovery, because if it's after a long run, you know. So, and Go Running with Oliver says it's going to be a cold one for the Houston Marathon. You think so? I mean, do we know that? We don't know the weather yet. It's still 2 weeks out, isn't it? Or I guess we do know now. We're 2 weeks out, so we would know. Or it's what's today? The 6th, so it's 10 days out. Or how many days is anyway? I don't know what day the half marathon is, but I guess we will know that it's a cold one. I'm thinking that cold's going to be good. Cold's going to be good. And someone else remarked on it, that like this year I've been wearing less layers than I normally do when I run. And I don't know, this year I've been tolerating being cold at the beginning of the run more than I've been tolerating being soggy and sweaty at the end of it. I've just been really hating that. And so I've been running probably underdressed a lot of the time. Not for my easy runs, but for anything that I've been running fast, I've been sometimes just wearing like a single layer, you know, like a merino layer, one long sleeve. And then, of course, gloves and a hat and sometimes a neck gaiter. But even then, like I've been wearing less. I don't know if maybe I'm getting older and so my skin can handle that coldness better. Like nerve endings have died. Or I don't know what it is, but I'm tolerating cold better. Although like it's been cold, but it hasn't been like 2 or 3 winters ago. It was just ridiculously cold. I remember. This winter has been normal. I feel like I don't know. And Frank confirms that golden retrievers aren't usually hunting dogs. Yeah, I mean. It was a cute dog. My kids wanted to keep it. I'm like, this dog has tags. And there's a phone number on it. And my mother-in-law was like, I'll just call them, make them come over here. I'm like, I'm okay. I'll just drive the dog back. But yeah, it didn't seem. It was eager to please, like most golden retrievers. I like golden retrievers. This dog was fun. I'm surprised it ran the 2 miles. There was a couple times where I was like, oh, I think it decided it wanted to go home. And then I would hear, pop, 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 pop. You know, all of a sudden they remember what they were doing and they come and follow you again. So, Killian O'Brien says, hi all, first time here in a while. I turned 49 just after Christmas. Happy birthday. One of the only things cheering me up about nearing 50 is the vain hope that I might start to do well in the V50 category in a year. There we go. I feel like running is like makes aging much more palatable, I think, in a lot of ways. Because then you're like, oh, a whole new age group now that I'm competing against. Because otherwise, you're just getting old. But, you know, good to see you back here, Killian. But I can definitely agree with that. Super Unjit says about his recovery routine. Getting my daughter ready for school is my recovery routine. That's funny. And Johnny Dodgen says, "Happy 2025. Are we unboxing today?" I have packages at the package place, but I didn't go pick them up today. I kind of got a late start. Well, I didn't get a late start. I was getting that run video finished, and so then by the time I did that, I was going to test other shoes out and then some new shoes, but I had to film them first. But because the running thing took a little bit longer, then I couldn't find the other shoe. I was going to run in the Ghost Max 2 today, but I couldn't remember where I put the left one. I only had the right one, or maybe I had one of the shoes but not the other. So I spent like 20 minutes looking for the other shoe. It turns out I had left it in the box. But then I just got delayed and I didn't have time to film it anymore, and then I didn't have time to go to the package place anymore. So they're probably annoyed because they've had packages by for a while. So no unboxings for today. Just catching up. If you guys, did anyone run over New Year's Eve into New Year's Day? I've never done that. My family, well, we were at my sister's house. We've been doing that for a handful of years now, where my family spends time with my sister's family and my parents if they're not traveling. And that's been really nice to do New Year's Eve that way. So we do Korean stuff on New Year's Day, but we don't do like a race or anything. But I think that'd be kind of fun. I saw some people there was a 5K at Pasadena, and then there was I think it was just this weekend, there was a peach tree, but they do it backwards. This was the first year that they do that. Has anyone done either of those? I want to do those. Ian Nevendal says, "Happy New Year, Kofuzi. I've been running in the Brooks Glycerin 21 GTS for about a year now. Do you have any recs for a racing support shoe? I've had issues with pronating when I run." I don't. There isn't like a such thing as like a stability racing shoe. It just doesn't exist. And I don't know if it's that like when you're racing, like different speeds, even the same person, their foot hits the ground differently. And I don't know if it's just that like it's not a big market, and race shoes, well, at least historically, have been not like a primary shoe category. Well, now in the last 5 years, I think that's changed quite a bit. Or if they just feel like it's a 5K race, it's a 10K race. You'll be able to just run in the race shoe and you'll be fine anyway. It's just a short amount of time. I don't know if that's the rationale behind it, but there isn't, as far as I know, like stability racing shoes. That being said, I think that ones that are more resistant to overpronation would be, I think the Brooks Hyperion Elite 4, the non-PB version, and I think the PB version as well. I think the Hyperion Elite 2 and 3 are probably even better because it has a very wide footprint and it's not too squishy, especially if you're already running in the Brooks Glycerin 21 GTS. I think I would see if you can find those, or the Hyperion Max 1 or 2. I feel like those would be really great racing options. Other than that, I think that like the racing shoes might be a little bit too squishy for you. Maybe look at like the Prime X is a very expensive shoe and not a shoe a lot of people love to race in, but I think that could work. The Hoka Cielo X1, and what else was I thinking about? I had other one that was on the tip of my tongue. Oh, maybe the SC Trainer version 3. Like those are some other ones that I might look like. They're not stability shoes, but I find them to be more stable, like less squishy, less kind of chaotic when your foot hits the ground. All right, let me scroll down all the way to the bottom, see if I can catch up with you guys. All right. Philip Watt says, "I've been running on and off for 10 years. Made a New Year's resolution to run races this year. Ran my first race, a 5K on New Year's morning, 23:10. Look at that. You finished your New Year's resolution on the first day. You're putting all the rest of us to shame, Philip. Congratulations. And congratulations on the PB. Nice work. That's awesome. And he ran in the Brooks Hyperion Max 2. There you go. Juliana Vivi says, in Colombia, we run around your house or block turning right, coming back on the left of the house, bringing a small suitcase. It's for luck on your year travels. I do it just for fun. I've never heard of anything like that. That's amazing. Very cool. That's a fun one. Everyone gets outside. And MSO says, who has a cat as their avatar. I like that. It says, in this crazy snow, what socks do you wear? Waterproof ones? No, not really. I've tried waterproof socks in the past before. They tend to be really inflexible and like make my feet feel like they're all cramped. So I don't love the waterproof socks. Sometimes if I know I'm going to be in a lot of shoes, I might run in a Gore-Tex shoe or a weather treated shoe, something that keeps water out. Or just generally I'll look for a trail shoe that has like a lot of TPU overlays. Because if it's a lot of snow, then it's probably also not great footing. So it's probably a trail shoe. So like the day that it snowed and I was running in Veterans Acres, I tested the Tecton X3, which is not a waterproof shoe, but it has lots of overlays. And, you know, like that day, the snow was maybe like 4 inches on the ground. It got higher in certain other areas. It was a big, really wet snow too. And, you know, I found that as like, if it's just snow and you keep moving, you know, after a while it does get cold and wet, but you're not going to get like soaked. It's like cold rain that is really some of the hardest stuff to kind of figure out. Or if there's going to be like actual river and water crossings, that's tough. I remember some of the coldest my feet have ever been was I'm running along the lakefront in Chicago. And it'll be snowy and slushy out, but the lake won't be frozen. And if that water gets onto you and just like soaks your foot, it just feels like your foot's going to freeze off by the time you get home. So that's when I would worry about it. But if it's just snow, I'm not too concerned usually about it. Keeping in mind that my runs in snow are generally less than 2 to 3 hours. 3 hours would be a very long time for me. And Eric says, yeah, the Tecton X3, a really good snowshoe with some wool toe socks. Win. Yeah, I feel like that would be a lot of fun. Wool socks too. But yeah, the Tecton X3 treated me really nicely. I felt like the Tecton X3, I just had one run in it and it was in snow. Just kind of running for fun, not really trying to push the shoe at all. So I don't want to like say this definitively. And running in snow definitely makes it harder to kind of understand the shoe because there's so much snow underfoot. But I kind of felt like the Tecton X3 was kind of like a trail Mach X. That's kind of the feel that I get from it. Doesn't feel particularly speedy, but it feels like there's modern materials in there. It's a comfy ride. It's peppy, but not like racing oriented, you know? So I like it. Plus, I like a mid-top shoe, you know. Theodore 1977 has Homer Simpson in a cowboy hat as his avatar, says, better shoe for a 10K, Zoomfly 6 or Takumi Sen 8? The Sen is what I use for my best 5K and mile races. I would go with the Takumi Sen for a 10K race. The Zoomfly, I have not tested it, but I don't, unless they've significantly changed like what they intend for the Zoomfly, although I guess that has changed quite a bit over the years. I don't really consider it a racing shoe. It would be a speedier option, but I would put it in the same category as like a DV8 Nitro, Endorphin Speed, which would be really fun shoes to race a 10K in. But like a Takumi Sen is built for racing, and it's really fun. And I think it's lighter. Is it lighter weight? That would be my guess, but it's more like a road flat, you know. Danny Guglielzo, what's going on? Oh, I think my app is doing something weird here. I can't move this comment away. Oh, there we go. Danny Guglielzo says, "Co, are there any shoes you are particularly excited about in 2025?" The 2025 shoes that I'm excited about so far are already out. Well, the Adios Pro 4, I'm a big fan of. That's out. Now, I don't know where you can get it, but technically the drop was January 2nd, I think. EvoSL is coming out soon. That's going to be a really fun one. There's 2 racing shoes that I don't know that I can mention what they are yet that I've tested. They're really good. I think there's going to be some very fun race product this year, even though it's not an Olympic year. Maybe they won't come out this year. I don't know. I think they're going to come out this year. But anyway, there's at least 2 that I don't know that I can tell you what they are, but there's 2 very good racing shoes that are on the horizon. And then, everything else is like, updates. I don't really know. I mean, I know from like TRE and stuff, but the other shoe that I'm very excited about is the Adios 9. I think that's out already. I have to look to see. It doesn't seem like anyone's sending to me. I guess I'll check to see if anyone sent it to me when I pick up my packages. But if I don't, I might just order a pair because I don't know. I just feel like the Adios has been kind of forgotten for a little while, and I'd like to see it's a complete redesign. So, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, I would say I am not as excited about what's coming from On. I'm a little bit concerned because they're doing like a Nike thing where they're like renaming stuff and putting them into verticals, so there'll be like Cloud Surfer and then a whole bunch of other Cloud Surfer somethings that are in there. Like the Cloud Eclipse becomes Cloud Surfer something else, something like that. I'm not sure about that. And then I'm also not super excited about what's coming from Hoka. Although the new Cielo X1, the Cielo X1 2, that one does look pretty interesting. Very streamlined. But like the Clifton and Bondi updates are not super interesting to me. The Mach update also, the Mach X update also not super interesting to me. So like those are a little bit less interesting. I will still try them, and I'd love to be wrong on that, but I'm not super interested in that. New Balance, I don't know because I didn't get to go to their booth at TRE. But it'll be interesting to see what they do to follow up on the Rebel. And then, yeah, I mean, we just got a new Nova Blast from ASICS. So, and the new Nimbus is out, which I have a feeling is pretty much, I think the Nimbus is going to be stable for a little while. They had a really big change when they went to 25, and then they got to give people a few years to kind of settle into it, I think is the plan. Because it is one of those, like, I always want to call them legacy shoes, but I don't think ASICS likes it when I call that. I don't think they want me to call them heritage shoes either. Hero shoes. So those, I think that's the word. Those don't really change all that frequently. So like, it changed a lot in 25, and I think it's going to take maybe another year or 2 before it changes again. But the 27, I'm right now liking a little bit more than the 26, but it's all very similar. Yeah, so that's my rundown, I guess, of a lot of shoes and what I'm kind of excited for 2025. It stinks because I do know more stuff that I can't really talk about. But yeah. JC wants to know which brand will produce the dad shoe of the year. I was just in New York with my family after we visit my sister and her family in Connecticut. The last 2 years now, we've spent a couple of days in Manhattan. And at least, I mean, it's not really representative of New York, but it gives you a cross-section of people who are tourists and want to go to urban places, whether they're tourists from Long Island or Connecticut or New Jersey or tourists from international locations. But it seems like there's a lot of New Balance streetwear that's very popular, like the run-inspired stuff that looked like it was a stability shoe in the 2000s and 2010s. Like that style is still very popular. And New Balance seems to be dominating a lot of the people's attention right now, at least as far as tourists in New York, if I can extrapolate from that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to Dad Shoe of the Year. I just don't think you're going to knock the Air Monarch off if it's Perch. And then that New Balance one, the white one that it looks like an Air Monarch, like those two will always be the Dad shoes. You're not going to, unless there's another brand that makes one that just looks exactly like it, you know? But in terms of street style, I feel like I don't know if Solomon has already missed its moment. You know, I felt like they got real popular with like that flash of core popularity, and then all their old race product was suddenly flying off the shelves. I don't know that they were able to capitalize on that and actually build like a street collection fast enough. That is different enough. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the spring, I guess. Yeah, Mark says, as long as they keep making the 990 in gray on gray, it'll always be New Balance. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the 990 is not like the dad shoe. I guess those guys are dads now, but I always feel like it as like it was like the college boy shoe for me, I guess. But I went to college in the 2000. I graduated in 2001. You know, so those guys are like me. They've been dads for a minute, but they're still buying the 990s. But the people that are a little bit older than me that are dads, they're buying that I don't even know what model it is. The super chunky white one. You know, that looks like an Air Monarch. That one. That's like the ultimate one. And Matt says the Pegasus Premium is a certified dad shoe. You think so? I don't know. You know what I'm waiting? You know what I'm waiting for someone to say, because you like everyone's been talking about Nike on social media about like the stock prices and stuff like that, and like the lack of innovation, which I don't really think is. I don't know. I don't think it was that lacking. I felt like the Pegasus was a big disappointment, but like they've been making some other good shoes. They've been making some shoes that are very forgettable, but they've been making some good ones. And people talk about like, I think the bigger problem was their decision to basically compete against all their retail partners, and they did it in a kind of crappy way. Not that there's a great way to do that, but they did it in a way that certainly alienated a lot of their longtime retail partners. So there's a lot of takes on the internet on like what Nike needs to do. And one that I haven't heard, but I'd be interested in chasing down that rabbit hole, is like, do they bring back the Vapor Max? Or is the Vapor Max a dad shoe at this point? I don't know. Vapor Max, I feel like, was popular. Maybe not when I was in college. I don't know if it existed back then. But like it was developed as basic. My understanding is it developed more of like a competitor to, or an answer to Ultra Boost. And I do remember in the early days of Vapor Max, some people actually ran in them, but it very quickly was like, this is not a runner's shoe. But I always felt like I'm waiting for the day that runners take the Vapor Max back. I think it's time. Maybe that's it. And if you think that the Pegasus Premium is a dad shoe, then I feel like the Vapor Max could be it. I saw a kid in New York wearing double tall Nike Shocks. Remember those? The thing that looked like they wasn't springs. It was like these. I don't know. If you look it up, it's SHOXX, I think is how it's spelled. But I saw a kid wearing those, and if those are still around, I mean, I know those are still around. Those have been always. They never left, really, I guess. And I did see some Vapor Max this weekend too. So, but I don't know if the Peg Premium a dad shoe. I don't know. Maybe a cool dad shoe, but I don't know. That's really in dad shoe territory. Do you think it looks like a dad shoe? Kyle's like, what is Gorp Core? He says, I've heard that term 5 times today and never heard before. Yeah, I'm not an expert on what it is, but to me, it seems to be like everything that was popular when between high school and graduation from college. So from mid 90s to early 2000s, mid 2000s, like the way that Oakleys looked, the way that running shoes looked, all that stuff. A weird transition phase from giant starter jackets to to tech wear. Like there was a transitional period where like things were form fitting in certain places, but baggy in others. But I think one of the defining elements of Gorp Court is like a shoe that looks like a Vomero version 4, or an old Solomon racing shoe, and those bug eye Oakleys. Like that'll get you a long way there. As far as a 45-year-old dude can tell you. I don't know. And Patrick Siri says, Happy New Year, Cozy Run Club. Have a quick 2 minutes to say hi in between back-to-back meetings. I forgot to block off the hour. That's awesome that you're blocking off the hour. Thank you. Happy New Year to you and your wife as well, and to the dogs. And Patrick says that the VaporMax and the Air Max 270 is still being clutched by the 35 to 40 crowd in New York City. I've never seen, since like they came out, the 270s, like I had not seen so many until this weekend when I was back in, like, I was with the kids. So we're basically between like Times Square and like Chelsea and Soho, like Midtown and below Central Park. So like super touristy areas is where we were. And yeah, I saw a lot of 270s. I was surprised about that. I'm like, I didn't even know they still made that shoe. Jason M. Tank says, I ran in the VaporMax and I hated it, LOL. And I felt like some of, like, at least, I don't know if this was peak VaporMax, but what I remember of the peak of VaporMax is being like 2017, maybe 2018. Some of the designs were amazing because they were doing amazing work with the Flyknit that was being used, but they were like $200, and I'm like, I'm not paying that much money for shoes, not in 2018 dollars. They were way expensive. Some of the collab editions were like $250, $300. I was like, that's too much. And Morgan the running guy says, Happy New Year, everyone. Excited to get the Adidas Pro 4, which should be delivered later today. Awesome. I hope you love it. It's a fun shoe. I just recently ran in it. I'm trying to remember the workout that I did in it, but I just ran in it within the last 2 weeks. Really good shoe. Really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing more people run in them. Oh, Calvin says, for Gorpcore, think Arc'teryx. That works. I like that. And Cosmopolitan says, Gorp is trail mix. It's an acronym for good old raisins and peanuts, or granola, oats, raisins, and peanuts. Is it really? Is that where the word comes from? I had no idea. Oh, okay. Frank says Gorpcore is North Face. You think so? Maybe. Mark says it's like a futurist, flowy, bubbly, lots of silver reflective things. That's true. Yeah. Daniel Burton says, what shoes are you racing in for the half? I think I'm probably going to race in the Deviate Nitro Elite 3. The other thought was to race in the Evo 1 again and see. Because that's what I ran in last year. But mine, I've gotten this thing. And I showed it in the Run-A video from 2 times ago. Where, like, see how like you could see some of these ridges developing where the energy rods are? It's created a little divot. So when I stepped on a rock, it cut through the thin film of rubber and has poked the midsole material in here. It's still an incredibly light shoe and it still runs really well. But I'm like, I already raced in that shoe. I don't want to I need to spread it around a little bit. So I am thinking that I would race in the Deviate Nitro Elite 3 because I've been doing so many workouts in it. And I'm at like 99 miles in it. And so if I race in it, that'll get me over 100 miles. So that'd be a nice way to kind of round it out with a race. The other one that I was thinking of is the Adios Pro 4. And every once in a while I'm like, should I try racing in the Brooks Hyperion Elite 4? Because I don't know that it's a marathon shoe. Not for me. But for half marathon, it could be nice. I don't love the feeling of it. It rides pretty harsh to me. But I was able to run fast in it. So I don't know. But I'm probably going to go with the Deviant Nitro Elite 3. Jason says that they have this lifestyle version of the Vapor Max that is a hybrid with the Air Max TN, and that's being worn by a ton of high school, college kids. Oh, interesting. I never really got into Air Max TN. I think that, yeah, that all that just missed me time-wise. I don't know. Maddie Mac says, Gorfcore is the Matrix meets Spy Kids. I think that's a really good, explanation of it. Because instead of wearing like military surplus boots, they're wearing running shoes, trail running shoes, really colorful ones. Ah, that's so funny. Calvin says there's still haven't done a race in the Endorphin Elite. Well, I already ran I did my 100-mile review on the shoe already, so I haven't been running in it anymore. I'd like to get the Endorphin Elite 2. I might just order it because I just don't know. I don't. Sometimes I get shoes from Saucony, other times I don't. I'm not confident that I'm on their list, so I might have to go out and buy that one. Mm-hmm. All right. Kevin Levinson says, what's your pick for a marathon between the Zoom 6 or the Speed 4? I haven't run in the Zoom Fly 6, so I can't say. People seem to really be liking it though. I don't know if they would like it for marathon racing, but people seem to be enjoying it. I do like the Endorphin Speed 4. That is the shoe that I brought with me to New York. So I was doing all my easy runs and my day-to-day touristy stuff in that shoe. And then the workout shoe that I brought was... Oh, that's when I brought it. I brought the Adios Pro 4 for my workouts that I had to do while I was out there. So I had two shoes, Adios Pro 4 and Endorphin Speed 4 for a week of running and traveling and training. Trying to think what my workouts were. I had a long tempo, which I don't like long tempos. And then, I had one workout that was, Runna likes these workouts where it's like, it's one interval with two different paces in it. So it was called Broken 600. So it was 300 meters at 6:30 and then another 300 meters at 5:50, something like that. Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't really like that one that much either. Senior says box. No boxes today. I ran out of time. We got back Saturday night. And then I didn't go to pick up pack. I don't to be honest with you, I don't know that my package place is open on Sundays. And I didn't have a chance to go today, so I have no packages right now, which is kind of nice. There's just a lot. I mean, it was just, Christmas time, so my house is full of stuff. And I'm getting the urge to like, all right, I need to just fill one of these giant boxes that I have when a package gets sent and just fill it with stuff and get rid of it all. And whenever I get like that, my wife, it really annoys my wife. So I think there's like tension building. But yeah, no packages right now. Too much stuff in this house anyway. Johnny Dodgen wants to know if I ever raced in the tier. No, I did not. Yeah, I did not race in the tier, either the Valkyrie Elite or the Speedworks. I've been really enjoying the Speedworks though. Path 2 Running says, advice please. I'm running Berlin and Chicago this year. Should I race Berlin and enjoy Chicago or vice versa? I generally think of it as like, well, it depends on where you are. If you're closer to Berlin or Chicago, that might make it easier to kind of make that decision. But I also feel like if you really want to race quickly, I would do that as the first one. Because like even, let's say you wanted to race Chicago, going to Berlin, doing a little bit of sightseeing, being on your feet a lot, the excitement of another marathon where it could be really easy to go a little bit faster than you should have for an enjoying or fun run race. It's too easy, I think. And then you have to travel to one race and then a second race and then try to perform well. And I just think that's asking a lot, personally. Some people might find that a great way to enjoy a taper is to race another race for fun. And maybe if you're an extrovert and you enjoy all that energy, and that's relaxing to you and rejuvenating for you, then I think that could work. But generally, I would say race the first one and then use the second one. Use your recovery requirements as a way of kind of speed limiting you. Andrew Scott says, what are your thoughts on the Shield versions of shoes, like the Pegasus that's made with Gore-Tex to keep water out of your shoes? So one of my all-time favorite shoes is the Peg 33 Shield. And the reason why I keep it handy all the time is because it has a lot of sentimental value, as well as I think that 33 and 34 Pegasus were probably peak Pegasus. But I love this because not only do I love the design and the color work on it, but it's the first Shield shoe that I ran in, and it's not Gore-Tex. It's just like weatherized. I'm not even sure what made it all that different from the regular Pegasus. But this one was important to me because it was the first shoe that I used to run year round. Because normally I would just run all summer, and then it'd be like Halloween. I'd be like, I'm done, and then I'd get really not fit and have to start all over again in the spring. So I have a special affinity for Shield versions of shoes, and I like them quite a bit for sentimental reasons. Practically speaking, I don't know that they're really all that necessary. And maybe it's because it's tied into like what I was saying earlier in the hour, where I was like, I've been needing fewer and fewer layers, and I've just been, I don't know, going for it. I do my workouts still in my regular carbon-plated shoes. I don't have special winter workout shoes. I do most of my daily training in my just regular shoes. Personally, I've been relying less and less on weatherized shoes. That being said, I also don't run commute anymore. I think if I were run commuting and there were some mornings where I just needed to get to or from work and the weather was nasty, then I probably would want a little bit more protection. And if I were more regularly in a slushy, nasty environment, like a downtown area, as part of a run commute, I would probably want a little bit more protection from wet, gunky stuff. As well. So I think part of that is a reflection of where and how I run now. But I think that if that's what, I think of it as like if you like buying a new GPS running watch or buying a new, back when, remember when people were like, I'm going to buy this iPod Shuffle and this is going to get me back into running. Like those kinds of purchases, I think that, you know, to an extent we're all deluding ourselves, but we just want an excuse to buy something new and exciting. But I think that's a fantastic way to help motivate yourself and keep running exciting in the dreary winter months. Yeah. So I needed them when I first started running in winters. And I loved them for that. But now I don't really I usually don't ask for brands to send me, not that I ask brands to send me stuff very often. Usually it's just stuff just shows up. But I almost never ask for like a winter version or a weatherized version because usually they're pretty similar to the regular version and I'd rather spend my running miles on something else as a reviewer. But yeah, before I did this to the extent that I'm doing it now, I ran in a lot of winter shield versions of shoes. Super Unjit says, I prefer the Saucony Run Shield to the Nike Shield. The Nike Shield feels like something added onto the regular shoe and isn't as high quality. Saucony Run Shield also has a felt line. They have felt linings on their Run Shield shoes. I know that there's that blue Endorphin. Was it Endorphin Speed or Endorphin Pro? I think it was Endorphin Speed. The blue one that everyone was getting. That was a waterproof one. That one was really popular. A lot of people liked that one. I don't know if that one was also felt on the inside. I've never heard of felt on the inside. Interesting. Julie Van at VB says, I guess I need new shoes to get me out there. Whatever it takes to keep us moving in the wintertime, I feel like I made huge amounts of progress in both my performance in running and also my enjoyment of running when I didn't take like a 5-month break out of the year, and I just started realizing people run all year long, even in the winter, even in Chicago, places where there's hard winters. People run all the time, all year round. There's down seasons, but they don't ever just stop. Well, lots of people stop, but you don't have to stop because of the weather. And for me, like that, getting hand warmers, which I have my hand warmers for my run this morning, and good mittens and beanies and neck gaiters, that all those, most of those things aren't too expensive. And so just little things adding up to making it enjoyable. And now my favorite weather running is winter weather running, Vanessa says, I ran without fancy gear first before I purchased anything. After experiencing it, I bought it or did without it, but I do like shiny gear. Yeah. Who does it? There's reasons to want to reduce your consumption and all those kinds of things, but like as a general premise, it's exciting to get new stuff from time to time. As far as mittens goes, the Big Looch says, I got the craft mittens you recommended, and they're so warm. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy them. I love them. And I have really cold hands. When I talk to Thomas wears like the Tracksmith ones that are like the knit ones, that are definitely not super thick, and that I would wear as a base layer glove underneath other gloves, But Thomas will run in like coldest winter days and be like, my hands are sweaty. It's too hot. And I'm like, what's it like to have good circulation like that? I am not like that. I need mittens. I also have a pair of snowboarder mittens that I save for when it's really, really cold. There's so much room in there that I can put on gloves, then my hand warmers, and then put them inside the snowboarder gloves. They're very heavy, and I wouldn't want to run a race in them, but boy, are they nice and toasty. I love it. Joe Carter says that hand warmers made winter running enjoyable. Merino wool has also helped. Yeah, for sure. I just don't think that I could really run that well in the winter without the hand warmers. I think I would probably think of something. Like if I wasn't I don't love that these are disposable, but these work so well and they produce so much heat for the size. So they fit. I don't have huge hands. So like a big, bulky, like electric rechargeable one, that would take up too much space. And I would need to size up on gloves to fit those in there, you know? But like I would probably use something like that. I've tried reusable ones before. You boil them and that resets them, and then you crack them like you snap them like glow sticks, and then they'll heat up. But again, those are really big, and they don't get that hot, and they don't stay warm for very long. But you know, I've tried a bunch, but it's such a like for me, it makes it possible, you know. All right, and Michelle Kelsey says, "How's the shakeout run for Houston been mentioned already?" Here, I have some bad news. There will not be one. I don't know how else to say that. I always thought that Runner was just going to plan to do one. I thought that was like part of the deal. And so I should have just been more proactive on it, I guess, and been like, hey, are we, like, can I, but like, I'm like, oh, look, they planned this giant event at the Honolulu Marathon. They planned this giant event in New York. I was there. It went well. They've done all these other events and other races, and I was like, all right, they got a team. They know what they're doing. And I got confirmation today that we're not going to do anything. So I got invited to attend some other of the local run clubs, shakeout run. So I'll probably just do that and let you guys know where I'm going to be at, and we can all just go together. So I'm sorry that I can't like have a special event for us all, which is a bummer. But you know, we'll hang out with some locals. We'll figure it out, and I'll post something when we get closer, which is, I guess, is now. So I'll post something soon. But sorry about that. And Luis Nidikumana, I'm sure I didn't say that right, but I tried. Lewis says, I'm doing my first ever winter marathon build. And I'm curious, do you change the pace at which you do your workout sessions in the winter, or just try to warm up longer? The temperatures definitely affect it. I would say if footing is not great, then that will certainly affect it. If it's very windy, that will certainly affect it. I don't necessarily change my paces, but I'm kinder to myself if I'm not hitting paces. Does that make sense? You're wearing bulkier clothes, and that's part of why I haven't been wearing a lot of bulky clothes and wearing fewer layers and just being cold for my workouts, is because I want to be able to try and do the workout and not be so encumbered by all the clothes. But yeah, I would say, like, if you are like wearing basically like a skiing outfit in order to get your winter workouts in, then be kind to yourself and, you know, slow down the prescribed paces by a little bit to make it more realistic, you know, because the paces are a proxy. What you're trying to do is make your body work a certain amount of hard, you know? And so, like, if you're doing it on a hilly course or it's safe enough to run on, but it's snowy in spots, like, then you're going to want to slow down for safety reasons, and also because your ability to push off from a soft, snowy surface is going to slow you down versus like a dry paved surface. Or if you're wearing a lot of layers and it hinders your movement, that's going to make your effort harder. So you want to make sure you're keeping the same level of intensity, and that may mean the paces slow down a little bit. Luis says, you know, there's a lot of things you guys need for running. It's almost 70 degrees Fahrenheit for him in Mexico. Low 60 degrees in the morning. That sounds lovely. I think that would feel hot to me at this point. And Alf Dickens says, a crazy 40 runner told me to always dress for the second mile. She's mad. I mean, that's advice that I've heard before, and something that I've been testing out, that I've been kind of enjoying when I have a workout, is setting it up so that way I do my warm up to come back to my car. Then I'll wear like an extra layer for that really chilly, annoying first mile or two. Then come back to my car, shed the jacket in my car, and then do the workout in one less layer. So I have been doing that a little bit, kind of testing that for days when it's like really, really cold, and I just don't want to be, but I don't want to be wearing a jacket for like threshold repeats, you know? Well, all right, guys, I think that's going to be a good place to leave it for today. Thursday, I think we should figure out some sort of game or trivia to play. I'll think of something fun for us to do on Thursday. I'll probably have some boxes to unbox too. So if there's a ton of packages, I might just do that, but it'll be something fun. I'll see you guys then. And I'm way behind, not behind, but I just have a backlog of running shoes that I've been testing and I need to review. So there'll be a lot of videos coming up, hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, because I've been testing shoes like the Hyperion Elite 4, the Diodoro Nucleo, 108014 video hasn't even been made yet. I got Ghost Max 2, the Mizuno Zen, is that the name of the shoe? So a lot of shoes coming up, so stay tuned for that, and we can talk about them all next time when I see you guys on Thursday. All right, guys? So until then, be safe. Thanks.